So welcome everybody. This is our session, How to Restrict Editing Bibliographic Fields by Member Institutions of a Network Zone Consortium. This is our second to last session of our ALMA Network Zone Consortia webinar series, which has been going on now since May. We're now all the way down at the end here. I'm going to remind everybody that on this page, you have links to accompanying resources here. If we use the PowerPoint, which we did in all cases, you have access to download the PowerPoint from here. And then we have a column here on the right for recordings. So you can click here and view the recording on YouTube. You can also view that recording directly on the Ex Libris YouTube channel. And you can also view it via the Education and Webinars page. So without further ado, let's jump into today's session. And before I start looking at the PowerPoint, before we go into ALMA, I'll just describe what this is. So we have a consortia. In our case, we have a sample consortia with a network zone and 3 institutions. Typically, there's more institutions than 3, but it's same functionality whether there's 3 institutions or 3,000 institutions. So we have in each member institution records which are linked to the network zone, which typically means those records in the member institutions have inventory, physical, electronic, digital, of a bibliographic record which is in the network zone. And in order to maintain uniformity and some kind of control over the records, we added that the network zone administrators can configure which fields can and cannot be edited by member institutions for those records which are linked to the network zone. In our next session, by the way, in our next session, which is September 25th, we're going to be talking about how member institutions can add their own local fields, which only they will see. Those are called local extensions. So that's almost a continuation of today's session. It's the opposite, where each member can do whatever they want to the records that are linked to the network zone, but only those member institutions will see them. Now we're talking about what fields the member institutions cannot edit that are connected to the network zone. So let's take a look at an example. First, we're going to go into ALMA and see some examples, and then we're going to go review what we've done via the PowerPoint. So for example, if I'm here in a member institution, I'm now in Open University. If we go back to our diagram here, we have the network zone, and I'm now in this one here, Open University, one of the member institutions. And if we come here and we look at one of the examples, for example, Taiwan in Pictures, edited by Alicia Hen, we see that this record is linked to the network zone. We know it's linked to the network zone because we've got this icon here. And if we look at this record, these are fields which every institution sees. And if I come into the metadata editor, depending on the configuration in the network zone, I will be able to edit either all of the fields or only some of the fields. Right now, I'm going to take a picture of this because it's going to look a little bit different afterwards, and I want to be able to compare it. Right now, in Open University, I can, for example, add another 035 field here with, for example, a OCOLC prefix. I'm just going to put in today's date and time so I know I have something unique. And I can also do that, for example, if I add another field with a different prefix. For example, here I'll add one, Jenny, and again, we'll put in a unique number, although that's not part of our assignment today. I'm not getting any kind of messages. I can also come along, for example, and add a 650 field. Sorry about that. Okay, I can add a 650 here. And I'll add a 650, for example, with a 0, meaning it's a Library of Congress subject heading. And I'll put something in here. And I can also right now add, for example, a mesh subject heading. And one more example. These examples are going to be useful later. When we change our configuration, I can also come in here and say I want a 650 with second indicator 7 and something else. I'll say libraries, and I'll say that's coming from the vocabulary ABC. Let's add a 651, and then we'll stop there. So let's add a 651. And let's put in here a geographic name. Let's say, okay. So I've added several fields. And not only that, let's remove a field. I'm going to take this one here, which says ANSI 9918, etc. And I'm going to delete that field with a F6. So I've deleted a field. So I've added 2035 fields with 2 different prefixes. I've added a 650 with second indicator 0 for Library of Congress subject headings, another one with second indicator 2 for mesh, and subfields and second indicator 7 where the vocabulary is in subfield 2. And save. Those changes that I made to this record will be reflected throughout the entire consortium. And the development here, which was done already quite some time ago, came about because institutions said that they want the member institutions to be able to edit these records. However, they want to have some kind of control over what is edited. They don't want any institution to come in, any cataloger from any member institution to come in and do whatever they want. For example, the 035, the 020, the 022, all of the identifiers is very important, for example, for matching on import profiles and other activities. So in order to maintain that control and that uniformity, we've developed a way that we can control what the member institutions can and cannot do to this bibliographic record. So let's see how that's done. So if we come now back to the network zone, now I'm in the network zone. I've got the network zone open in Firefox, and I've got the Open University member institution open in Chrome. So now I'm back in the network zone. And we've got a configuration here where we can control which fields can and cannot be edited. So let's say, for example, I come now, I'm in the going to configuration and to resources, cataloging, metadata configuration. And I'm going to choose here Mark 21 Bibliographic. It could be any kind. If somebody's using Unimark, Chinese Mark, etc., they would choose whichever one they're using. So I'm going to go into the Mark 21 Bibliographic because that's the one we want to change or control. And under other settings, we have a link here to fields restriction policy. And inside the fields restriction policy, right now, I don't have any configuration, which was why when I was in the member institution, I could do anything I wanted. So let's add row here and let's make some restrictions. So let's say, for example, that for tag 650, I want to restrict adding and editing a field. I'll say true. And I also want to restrict deleting that field. So again, I'll say true. And I want to do that only for vocabulary LCSH. So only if the second indicator is a 0. By the way, the vocabularies, we'll see in a moment where those vocabularies are coming from, what I can put there. I can also say that certain catalogers can do it depending on their cataloging level that they can override, but I'm not going to say that. But I could say, for example, if someone has 15 or higher, they can override. But I'm going to say no one can do it. Prefix, I'm going to leave empty. We're going to use that on the next one. Sometimes vocabulary is relevant. Sometimes vocabulary is not relevant. Sometimes prefix is relevant. Sometimes it's not relevant. And we're going to see two examples here. So I'm adding that. And now that means that 650 will not be able to be added, edited, or deleted by the member institutions. Let's add another one. Here I'll say the 035 field. Also cannot be added, cannot be edited, and cannot be deleted. Vocabulary here is not relevant. However, the prefix is relevant. Let's say, for example, that for prefix Jenny, we can't add it. I'll say add row. And let's also say that for 035 and can't edit, can't delete. And this time we'll say for OCOLC. And oh, that's not going to be the vocabulary. That's going to be in the prefix. So now we're saying for a 650 with second indicator 0, meaning it's Library of Congress subject headings, fields can't be added, edited, or deleted. And for a 035, which has prefix Jenny, I'm going to make that a capital J, although it's not case sensitive, or prefix OCOLC, also it can't be added, edited, or deleted. And save. I'm going to take a picture of this one as well so we can refer to this without going back and forth between different almas. Okay, now save. Now, those vocabularies, by the way, when we first went in, when we said resources, cataloging, metadata configuration, these are the prefixes of the authority vocabularies. So these are the ones we can put there. We can put anything there, but these are the ones that the institution has, or these are the ones that are the standard codes of the vocabulary. LCSH is the Library of Congress subject headings, for example. MESH, which we didn't put in, but maybe we will later, is for the medical subject headings. So now let's go back to the Open University. I'm going to log out and log in. First of all, let's release this record. And I'm logging out and logging in because these definitions are taken at the time of login. I'm just going to make sure here that we really did save that. So I'm going to come into the Mark 21 Bibliographic again, other settings, and let's go look at that table. And yes, we did save it. Okay. So let's log in again here. And let's try what we did previously. And let's go get our record. Could be any record, but we may as well use this one. We already have an example on this one. Link to the network zone. This will not apply to records which are not linked to the network zone. So this is linked to the network zone. We'll say edit record. And now we're going to see something a little different. We've got the picture of how it previously looked. Okay, so now if we look at the 035s, we see that the ones with OCOLC or Jenny have this icon here, meaning the action is not permitted. This is a restricted field. It's a restricted field because we added that to the table just a moment ago of restricted fields. For the 035, we didn't say anything about Aleph being the prefix. We said OCOLC or Jenny. We can't do anything. If we come and we look at the picture here, here it is. We said for prefix Jenny or prefix OCOLC, we can't, and those are the ones with this icon here. If I put my mouse on here and I try to do anything, I'm typing, nothing happens. But if I do it on this one here, I'm fine. I can add whatever I'd like. So we see clearly that those are restricted. If I come on this field, for example, and I try to delete it, and I say, for example, remove field, it says on the bottom here, you cannot delete 035 field for OCOLC prefix. This is a restricted action. If I try to delete this one here, editing actions, remove field, no problem. I can remove that. So I'm going to do undo. Nice feature. Added it right back. It'll resort when we save the record. If I try to add another field now, let's say F8 or add field. If I add another field now, and this time I make the field, for example, KLA, the Kentucky Library Association, and I put something in here. Again, I'll do the date. No problem. But if I come in here and I add another field with a 035, and now I try to say that I want Jenny in some kind of number. Now I want to save this record. You cannot, I got a message here on the bottom. You cannot add 035 field with Jenny, and it didn't allow me. I'm going to do that again so I can point out the message. Adding a new field, 035, putting in the prefix Jenny, some kind of a number, then if I, or whatever I want, then I can either save the record or I could do a validate. And I see here, you cannot add 035 field for Jenny prefix. This is a restricted action. So I have the field in there because it was added in the network zone, or perhaps by someone who did override, but I can't add it there because we have here in our definitions that with that prefix, it can't be added, edited, or deleted. Let's go look now at the 650 and the 651. So I said here on the 650, if the vocabulary is Library of Congress subject headings, then also I can't add, edit, or delete. So let's go see what's going on here with that. Now here, I don't see on the 650 that it's restricted. I don't see this icon because the way it works is if I already have an icon, which I do here because these are linked, then I don't see, I can't put two icons in the same place. But if I try to add one, let's say again, F8 and 650, first I'll add a medical subject heading, which is not in our table. And I will say libraries, $Z, Missouri. And, oops. Now let's do the same thing with a 650 Library of Congress subject heading. I can't even continue. I get a message on the bottom. You cannot add 650 field for LCSH vocabulary. This is a restricted action. So I was able, in summary, to make a configuration in the network zone on restricted fields for member institutions. When the member institutions try to edit these records, by the way, the same restrictions will apply if somebody tries to upload a file via an import profile, do search resources and import that way, or merge a record from an external source and have one of these fields get created, or use an API to try to create these records. This is the easiest way to show it, but it's universal in all cases where a record can be created. Let's look briefly now at the PowerPoint. I saw that some questions came in, and I'm going to get to those in a moment. So let's just see here. So just a review of what we did, and we're going to do a tad more. So we went into configuration, resources, cataloging, metadata configuration. We chose Mark 21 Bibliographic. It could be, I know there's some here from Europe, perhaps using Unimark. It could be whatever kind of metadata configuration you have, not just Mark 21. And then we went to the fields restriction policy here in the other settings tab. And in our case, we saw that in Open University, we have a record which is linked to the network zone. And we saw that we have fields with, in this case, Aleph and OCLC. We had OCLC and Jenny. We also had a 650 with second indicator 0, meaning it's Library of Congress subject headings. So we added 035. In this case, we said no prefix, which means all 035 fields. If we don't want anyone touching any 035 fields, we don't have to add it with every possible prefix. We can just leave the prefix empty. Then we put in a 650 for LCSH. Then we saw here that the 035s, the relevant 035s had an icon that it's restricted. If we tried to add one, we got this message here. For the 650s, we saw that if they're linked to the community zone, we can't see the icon because we can't see two icons in the same place. And this one is more important, knowing that it's linked to a heading in the community zone authorities. So we don't see the icon there. However, it still takes place here when we try to save something. So let's first of all, before we do go further here, I see that Maud responded to some of the chats. Let's just take a look here. So I'm now looking at the chats. Let's see what we got going on here. I missed if this is, okay. Yeah, so this was already added, like Maud answered here, at the end of 2023. Everybody's already got it. Will it be possible in the future to import using an XLS file the list of restricted fields in the mapping table instead of adding each row manually? No, there's no plans to be able to take this and upload it from another file. It's a one-time addition, however. It's not, I understand you may have many fields, but it's a one-time thing. It's not an ongoing. But no, there are no plans to be able to upload a file here in order to create it. If it was very important, you could use an API under the configuration section and update the table there, but it would probably take you longer than a one-time change here, even if you're adding 50 rows. It's probably going to be faster to manually add the 50 rows. Okay, it looks like those are all the questions until now. Okay. So let's see another option here. If I missed any questions, feel free to send them in again, but I think I scrolled up and saw them all. So let's see another one here. I'm going to do two things now. We used the 035 with the prefixes. Now I'm going to use the 035 without the prefixes. And let's play around here. So I'm going to say two things, actually. Let's say I want add row. So I'm going to say a 651 geographic here. And let's say true. I don't want anyone to add or edit it. But let's allow them to delete it this time. So 651 will say cannot be edited or added, but can be deleted. I can't think of a use case on that, but perhaps there is. And that should cover that, add row. And let's remove this row. Let's remove this row. And let's add now a 035 with true for adding and editing, true for deleting. And I'm not going to put in a prefix. Add row. Okay, so let's take a picture of this one as well. And let's replace this one. Okay, so now we've got this picture here. Fields restriction policy. Okay, so we're saying here now that for 650, that we didn't touch. 650, we still can't do anything with it when second indicator is 0. For 651, oh, I made an error there. Instead of putting 0, I should have put LCSH. By the way, we had an internal, not a dilemma, a discussion, a heated discussion even. Should this be indicator or should this be vocabulary? And as you see, we went on vocabulary for various reasons. 035, we're saying any prefix. You can't edit, add, or delete. The 651, we're saying you can't add or edit, but you can delete. Okay, let's save that again. And let's refresh our picture as well. So let's take a look at that fields restriction policy, just so we don't have to keep opening and closing an ALMA. I actually don't need this picture anymore. We saw what it looks like. And here, there we go. Okay. So let's now release this record. Let's now log out and log in because we want to get those new definitions. Sign out, sign in. And let's see what we got here. And let's go get our sample record here, Taiwan in Pictures, edited by Alicia Hen. Put that in the metadata editor. Okay, now first of all of my 035s I see are edited. We've got the KLA for the Kentucky Library Association, Aleph, OCOLC, and Jenny. They're all limited. So we don't have to put in one row for every prefix. We left it blank here, right here. And that covers everything. We don't also need to put in an asterisk or a wildcard of any sort. It covers everything. So here. And that, of course, will also work if I come along and I say new field. Watch on the bottom here, right above my, there's warnings and errors. Errors mean you can't do anything. Warnings is just a warning. For your information, 035. Coming in here, and let's do the Jenny organization again. I can either save or validate. There, I already got it before I even did anything. You cannot add a 035 field. It's not telling me about the prefix. Last time it says you cannot add a 035 field with prefix Jenny. Now it's saying not mentioning the prefix at all because I didn't define a prefix. And let's go take a look here at my 650, 651. So what do I got here? For 651, I said you can't add or edit, but you can delete when the second indicator is 0. So let's see what's going to happen. If I come back to my record and I say F8 again for a new field, and I make a 651, I'm going to make a second indicator 2, so I shouldn't have a problem right now. Missouri. Save. Everything's fine. And now I'll make another one. It says record was saved. Oh, I thought I put a 2 in there. Maybe I didn't. It got removed via a rule of some sort. In any case, I've got a 2 in there. I'm not getting an error message. Everything is good. Yep, there's my 2. It even got linked to the authorities. That means there's a geographic name for Mesh, Missouri. Let's now try 651.0. Immediately I got a message. You cannot add 651 field for LCSH vocabulary. This is a restricted action. So I'm getting that message because here I said 651 add edit true. I can't. It restricted is true. However, the delete is false. So if I come back to my record here and I take this existing one and I say F6 or remove field, control F6 or remove field, it's gone. It was removed. I'm going to put it back now. Undo. There she is. Now it's back. So that's the ability to make a field with any prefix. We didn't fill it in at all, and it applies to all prefixes. And that's the ability to say, yes, you can edit and add, but you can't delete. Excuse me, you can't edit or add, but you can delete. And then, of course, we could also do the opposite. Okay, so let's now go and take a look at I'm going to stop the sharing. That covers everything. It's a pretty straightforward feature. And let's make sure we covered all of the chats. So let me go check the chat. You shouldn't be seeing anything on the screen right now except for my camera. So let's go look at the chat and just make sure we covered everything. And then we're good to go. Okay, do we have everything from the chats, Mord? I see one came in here about exporting with these restrictions apply to records being exported from OCLC connection to network zone. If those records are imported directly, it won't apply. Yeah, to the network zone, this does not apply. In fact, maybe I'll go in and play around. But if you import those at the IZ, yeah, it's any import, whether it be a creation of an API, running an import profile from an API, running an import profile from scheduling, from manually, copy cataloging, the search resources and import applies to them all. If I were in the network zone, now I'm in the network zone.
We don't see your screen, Joel.
Oh, you're right.
Share
I
again.
stopped sharing. Thanks for letting me know about that. Thanks for letting me know about that immediately, I should say. Because always when you forget to share, people let you know, but it could be after 5 minutes. Okay. So let's come directly in here now. Let me first of all come over here and release this record. Okay. Network zone. Let's take Gloria Steinem, Women's Liberation Leader here. Now, of course, I'm not going to say link to the network zone because I'm already in the network zone. I can't link to myself. It would be a permanent loop there. Okay, so let's take this one here. If I edit this record, let's see what we got here. So I shouldn't be able to add a 651 with a second indicator 0, or a 650 for that matter with a second indicator 0. And okay, she's still opening. There it is. All right. Okay. So I don't see any restrictions on the 035. And if I come along here and add a field, 650, 0, and again, I'll put in libraries, even if it's not even relevant. Save, no problems. So it doesn't apply to records in the network zone. I'm just going to get rid of that so I keep a clean demo environment here. gone. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Let's go see the chat. Okay, I don't see any others. I'll wait a moment in
There,
case
there is
there
one.
are. Okay.
Yeah, I received one. If restrictions don't take effect until user login logout, what happens if you need to make a change immediately effective? Is there a way to force user to log in again?
No. By the
I
way,
don't
this
think so.
applies to many configurations in Alma. Many configurations come at the time of login. It's I believe the fulfillment might be that way. In any case, this is for sure not the only configuration that comes into effect when someone logs in. I don't think it's going to be a common occurrence that somebody's already logged in and there's an urgent need to make sure they can't add a field, edit a field, etc. But if there is, they need to log in again, and then those configurations take into effect. That's not only Alma, by the way. That's software in general, without getting into the whole architecture of the authentication when someone logs in and what happens at that point of authentication. Because, for example, someone can already be logged in, and then in that table, someone goes and leaves the table as it is and only changes the cataloging level that can override. That's the same thing there. They need to relog in. Let's see if anything else came in.
I don't see any more questions.
Nothing else. Okay, so thanks everybody. We hope to see you in our next sessions in the Alma 2024 Roadmap webinar series. We have a session coming up about the new all title search. Let's go see exactly when that one is. Alma 2024 Roadmap webinar series. You can just do a Google search and you'll pop right in. So the new all title search, which we showed a bit about when we did the link data, we're going to be showing that in depth September 4th. We're taking a break for August because a lot of people are going to be out. And then September 25th, we've got this. We're also got a little break between the 4th and the 25th. We've got the Igloo Conference, which maybe some of you are attending. We've got some holidays, etc. But we hope to see you for all of these upcoming sessions. And thanks, everybody. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.